ready for a lot of crazy magical girl transformations in this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super. It looks like the Dragon Ball series is going to punch the Sailor Moon franchise right in the ovaries. This entire episode is basically lampooning the entire magical girl transformation genre, made popular, of course, by Sailor Moon and many, many others. We finally got to see the return of Brienne, who is the transformed form of Brienne de Chateau. Joining the giant ball of blubber that is Brienne de Chateau is Sanka, who has the ability to transform into Kakunsa, who is a wild cat girl. And then last but not least, there is Sue, who can transform into the key manipulating Rosie. They are awesome in this episode, and I absolutely love the thought that actually went with the creation of these characters, especially considering that Universe 2 is connected to Universe 11. What this basically means is that Universe 11 is the super manly Super Sentai universe, so ipso facto, Universe 2 is the ultimate representation of the magical girl transformation genre. That's right, fighting evil by moonlight, winning love by daylight. You get plenty of that in this week's episode. Not to mention, you get probably my favorite battle from the entire freaking Tournament of Power arc, which is Kakunsa the Cat Girl fighting against Android 17. Guys, this battle was straight up epic, and what I especially loved about it is that it reassured me that these transformation girls are going to be sticking around for a good while. They're not going to be that easy to take down, and while 17 didn't have too much trouble taking down Kakunsa, he certainly was surprised by some of her really crazy and super fast attacks. I'd also be remiss if I didn't talk about the humor in this week's episode. I especially love how they just continue to make fun of this genre, with the first half of the episode getting to see all three girls go through their poses, go through the transformation sequence, and right as they're about to reveal their power, suddenly they get hit with a massive ki blast, and that's because Android 17 was getting tired of waiting and he decided to attack because, screw it, that's just the way that he does things. What I love most about this is that, yeah, why doesn't this happen more often? How come in all of the Super Sentai and Power Rangers and things where the people transform, do they not just attack them when they're going through these big elaborate transformations and poses? And that's because, at least according to Toppo in this episode, that's just what manly warriors do. By the way, Toppo just showing up out of nowhere and just coming in to actually coach these girls and explain why it's so important to do these poses. Not to mention that everybody around who's just listening to all of this is just accepting all of this absurdness. It's just hilarious. So, like I said, their transformation sequence gets completely interrupted, and then suddenly they just decide to go through the entire transformation sequence again, which again is very funny in making fun of the fact that in episodes of Sailor Moon, you have to see these transformation sequences every single episode, and sometimes multiple times. That and the fact that the God of Destruction, Hellas, who's watching all of this, I swear to God, does this same pose over and over and over and over and over. It becomes a drinking game by the end of the episode, and it's certainly a great reason to check out this week's super exciting episode of Dragon Ball Super. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode? Just pure fun. That's the best way to describe this week's episode. I went into this week's episode not expecting a lot, and I was pleasantly surprised, especially because the first half of the episode was very heavy on the comedy, and was basically just watching these girls transform for like 10 minutes straight. It certainly had a lot of great humor to it too, especially the way that Universe 2 just sort of like acts as the backup dancers for these three transforming girls. Not to mention, some of them even seem to be in some pretty heavy like romances with some of them. There's this one girl who goes by the name of Vikal, who's basically this succubus, and she's in a relationship with Kakunsa the cat girl, so the internet's gonna love that one. And of course, all of the action with Android 17 in this episode was just so damn stellar and so fast and fluid and explosive. I also love how he took advantage of the battlefield by actually going up into the light that's illuminating the entire freaking ring, and he uses that as a way to actually attack Kakunsa and officially defeat her in this episode, which completely pisses off Brienne de Chateau, or Brienne as she's known in her transformed state. And she was also really great in this one right here. I absolutely loved her fight scenes with Vegeta. It's basically the stuff that we've seen in the intro with a little bit more of some really fast and fluid choreography, and this really crazy move she does where she like jumps up and starts to roll around like a freaking giant tire, and she's about to run into Vegeta, and she's got the most ridiculous ass face that I've ever seen. And Vegeta just cannot bring himself to punch this woman. Also, he seems to be incredibly disgusted by her overall appearance. And seeing these type of Vegeta moments is just really damn great. It's just some really nice and funny stuff. And we also have a few other scenes that are definitely worth mentioning. You know, I honestly thought Roshi was going to end up becoming more important in this episode, considering that we have a lot of female opponents here, but none of that really ends up coming to fruition. Oh, and I even forgot to mention that Vikal, the succubus girl, actually does end up getting defeated, and that's mostly just because she gets completely knocked out, and she goes directly right to her side of the ring with her current god of destruction, so that was really damned convenient. This episode was just all over the place and a lot of fun in the best ways possible. What more can I freaking say? It was action-packed, it was really funny, it was making fun of the Sailor Moon and Magical Girl transformation genre, and it just had a lot of really distinctive action. This is one of those episodes that I'm never going to forget, simply for how incredibly weird it is, but how surprisingly fun it is. This is also another one of those cases where you don't judge a book by its cover. You're definitely not supposed to do that with this episode right here. These chicks are absolutely over the top in every single way, but you can definitely tell that the creators of the series are having a lot of fun with their very distinctive abilities, and of course, making fun of a lot of other big genres in the anime world. So what more can I say? Great episode. I loved it. I had no complaints with it, and I was almost ready to hate the episode with the first half, but the second half of the episode completely saved this one, and that's why I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5. It was a solid package from beginning to end, lots of laughs, lots of action. But I want to hear from you guys. What did you think about this week's episode and getting to see the 3 magical witches in action? Who is your favorite member of the group? Is it Brienne? Is it Kakunsa? Maybe it's Rosie. And how are they going to combat Universe 7 in the next episode of the series? Oh, also, I just want to mention, too, I'm really glad that one Yardrat from Universe 2 is back. I honestly thought that Caulifla just completely defeated him in the last episode when he got kicked away, and I thought that maybe he went out of the ring. No, he's actually still here, and he's just fine, and I want to see more from that character, because, of course, Goku learned instant transmission from these guys, so I just want to see more from these different universes. It's pretty clear, though, that the most of this first couple episodes of the arc are just sort of trimming the fat and getting rid of some of the weaker fighters before we move on to some real crazy shit. So there it is. Epic episode. Check it out, everyone. Make sure to tell me your thoughts about it and what you hope to see in the next big episode of Dragon Ball Super. Thank you all for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for all things Dragon Ball Super related. Make sure to hit that like button. Share this video with all your friends. Thank you all again for watching. I'll see you next time. And as always, stay damn down, baby.